GM, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. Folks, Upcember has officially commenced. We had a rough start, very rough start to the month on Monday, but some major news out of Vanguard and Bank of America helping propel prices. We're actually in the green, and the question on everyone's minds, are we back? Or is this just another dead cat bounce? We're going to talk about it on today's show. I'm your host, Tyler D. We've got Logan in the house. No Farouk today. He's busy out in Dubai with some breaking news, which we will get into here in just a couple minutes. But Logan, GM, welcome back to the show.
Hey, good morning, Tyler. Yeah, it's really snowy here in PA, but not putting a damper on prices. So I'm feeling okay. Glad to be back.
I think we might have more snow than you. I think my backyard has somewhere between 14 and 16 inches.
He would have more than we do. I think we're only supposed to get 4 to 6 or something. It's just been a steady kind of, it's like I'm not a big snow fan, but this is tolerable, I would say.
I'm a fan of the first big snow of the year. Like, everyone has fun. The kids go play in it. We sled, and we did all of that the past few days. But now it's like, okay, we're 5 days in. And I don't know if you've seen this, but the winter forecasts are pretty rough. A lot of prolonged cold, a lot of snow.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to do this for 3 more months, 4 more months. Winter hasn't even started. I think Chicagoland set the record for November. So I'm sure we're going to have more of this. It looks like we've got a special guest in the studio. Let's see. Mr. Farouk himself on a very big, well, maybe an afternoon for you, a huge morning here in the U.S. Some breaking Myriad news this morning.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I was not meant to be on. I actually have to jump in like 5 minutes, but I had to come for a little bit. It's a big day for us.
Yeah. Why don't we just get right into it, and we'll do the intros here in a few minutes. Myriad and Trust Wallet, the first ever prediction market live within a wallet. And I mean, the team did a fantastic job keeping this under wraps. I was as surprised as everyone this morning. Woke up to the news. Trust Wallet, 200 million users is the last count I saw. Huge news. CZ's even sharing the news here this morning. How about that? Love to see that from CZ. Yeah, how are you feeling? Anything else you want to share around the announcement this morning?
Yeah, I mean, I'm euphoric, honestly. Like, it's been a crazy day. It's like 7 p.m. already here, but we've been at it all day long. And yes, like you said, we had to keep it under wraps. I think even internally, like, a majority of the company wasn't sure when, how, why, etc. Because it's one of these projects that we've been working on for months now. I think 2 to 3 months. You know, those things take time, which sometimes can be a little frustrating because you want to say it. You want to tell people you're cooking. You want to tell people big things are coming, and you can't. And so this is arguably the biggest announcement since we launched. I mean, a year ago this week, we announced the launch of the open beta in points only for Myriad markets at Art Basel. 7 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever, mid-March, we announced USDC markets for Myriad. This past month, we hit $100 million lifetime volume, and here we are, last inning of the year, launching, in arguably one of the largest, most used wallets in crypto. And I do want to give a big shout out to the Trust Wallet team, Yoan, the CEO, and her entire team, but also BNB Chain, without whom this wouldn't have been possible, and of course CZ and his team, because it's a very big deal. And like you said, we can take that claim now, Tyler and Logan. It is the first ever prediction market to go live inside of a crypto wallet. So it's awesome.
Let's go. You love to see it. So in Trust Wallet's new predictions tab, users, they're not going to have to navigate to another website directly in app. They're going to be able to pull up Myriad markets and predict from there. So that's a really nice integration. And
yeah, it's fun.
Tons of users, tens of millions of people directly in their day-to-day. So And it looks like the Ewan Chin from Trust Wallet, new way of combining social expression with digital footprint and value. Want to make that available to users, grow together in their on-chain journeys. All right. Well, this is a big one. Definitely soak it in. And excited to see where it goes.
Hell yeah. No, I appreciate you guys. And it's going to be good. You guys are going to see more on this, of course, in the coming days, weeks. We have a huge campaign coming up. We're going to run, competitions with them. We're going to run a bunch of different stuff. And so it's going to be a good one. What's awesome, you can see Polymarket and Kalshi are also going to go live. I think they posted about it down the line. But I think it's really cool that they gave us a chance to be the first, prediction market to go live. I mean, they definitely didn't have to, and they did. And I think you hear me say that a lot, Tyler. Maybe Logan, you see me here and there say it, but I always say Polymarket, Kalshi, Myriad, Polymarket, Kalshi, Myriad, Polymarket, Kalshi, Myriad. I've been putting this into people's minds, even internally, 24/7. And I think this is proof that we're getting there. And so get ready, buckle up, buttercups, because this is the first of many integrations and partnerships coming from Myriad Market. So that's my spiel. Appreciate you guys giving me some airtime. And there you go. Of course.
Well, huge day. I know you're busy. So thank you for popping in with us here this morning, Farouk. You got it. Myriad in the same breath and sentence with Polymarket and Kalshi. You actually absolutely love to see it. I'm sure we'll be covering this integration more as the days and weeks go on. Fun start to the morning and to today's show. I do want to back up a little bit. So what are we talking about on today's show? We're going to go through the market report as we always do. Yesterday was bloody. Today is very green. Could the bottom be in? I'm getting a little bulled up myself. We'll talk about this news out of Vanguard, Bank of America. We're going to check in on the synthetics trading comp that kicked off last night as well. There's a Coinbase lawsuit going around. Is it a big deal? Yes or no? CZ and YZ Labs doing somewhat of a takeover attempt over a DAT. We're going to cover that with Logan. Kalshi moving on chain on Solana. That was a big story. And then I want to touch on Infinex and their crate run. We hosted Infinex yesterday. We didn't really talk about their crate run as much as I would have liked to. So I want to hit that a bit as well. Before we get into it, I do want to give a shout out to our partners. First up, EigenCloud. EigenCloud, built on EigenLayer security, extends crypto-grade verifiability to any application, from AI agents to prediction markets to on-chain games. Build anything, verify everything. And Wallet Connect powers billions in monthly volume across wallets, apps, users, and institutions. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon and trust in crypto as recognizable as Visa at the checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. All right, well, let's get into the market report. I'm sure Mando will join us here at some point, but I'll do my best Mando impression here and walk us through some of the highlights from the morning. So the crypto board, folks, oh my God, 90K happened in the last 9 minutes. I haven't seen this since the show is running. Wow. We are back over a critical level there for Bitcoin. So 90K Bitcoin up 5% from yesterday. ETH up 4%, 29.26. BNB up 6%. Sol up 7%, 134. How about that? Some big movers. SPX was a big mover. Pingu pumps. Man, it's a lot of protocols, a lot of memes are pumping. It looks like stocks are pretty green here today as well. NASDAQ's up 1%. I think NVIDIA was up 3%. Apple stock at new all-time high. Not sure if you saw this. Did you see the Susan Dell, the Michael and Susan Dell news this morning?
Yeah, just before I came on. Yeah, $250 to like 25 million kids.
This is a big deal, and clearly more folks are going down the path of setting up kids in America for investing futures. So that this actually came, I kind of forgot about this, that Trump new federal program that's going to seed U.S. citizens born from 2025 through 2028 with $1,000 in these Trump accounts.
Trump accounts. That is a great way for legacy building, of course.
It is. How you feel about Trump aside, I think it is pretty cool to see young kids with an investment account and see firsthand how money can compound over the years. And it looks like the Dells are coming in to fill a bit of a gap here. So they're adding $6.25 billion from their own Dell Foundation, I believe is where it's coming from. And what they're doing is they're looking at kids who aren't qualified for the Trump accounts. So for those who were born before January 1st and are under 10, they're going to seed them with $250. And of course, there's some other caveats, family income and all that, but pretty cool. A part of me does wonder, is this because Social Security is not going to be around for some of these kids? But that's a longer conversation that we don't need to get into. But I think an immediate takeaway from this is there's going to be this ongoing twop into these investment accounts for all of these new children in the Trump accounts as well as Dell. And crypto could be in there.
The infinite twop. Yes, that's what we've been yearning for, right?
Well, the infinite twop got a big opening yesterday with Vanguard now opening up to Bitcoin, ETH, XRP ETFs. So in a massive reversal yesterday, they came out and said they are going to allow Vanguard users, brokerage users, to invest in crypto ETFs. They had kept this at an arm's length for years. CEO had been very famously anti-crypto. You know, a new CEO is coming in. Or I'm not sure if he's actually in or not already. 50 million brokerage customers, 9 trillion. I'm seeing anywhere from 9 trillion to 11 trillion in assets. Now the door is finally open. I think they were one of the last stalwarts really to capitulate in. And a personal anecdote, I actually left Vanguard this summer. I finally pulled the plug because of no access to crypto ETFs. Had I just waited, I would have gotten a better price. So maybe a lesson in there. But Logan, curious for your reactions to this one.
Yeah, this is one of those headlines that, you know, when we're here every single day, it's just impossible, to kind of wrap our heads around how impactful it may be 6, 12, 18, 24 months down the road. But just the continued validation that this market is not going anywhere. And it's really difficult to zoom yourself out. It's really easy to feel like everything's over when, we're celebrating price getting back to 90K after being, above 100 and 120K for so long. But this is the type of stuff that, when I'm not feeling super great about the market or I'm feeling quite apathetic, this is the type of stuff that does give me just that little bit of hopium to kind of maybe continue to extend the lens and zoom out just a little bit. We were just talking about, sorry, you weren't talking about it, but you're showing the board with the crypto prices. And I was just looking at the weekly numbers. Consider the back and forth roller coaster we've had in the last week. You've been on this show probably talking about the doom. You've been on the show talking about excited times like right now, with the prices up in the last 24 hours. But the 7-day markets, we're up 4.6% on Bitcoin. It's almost impossible to realize that, if you don't look at these numbers, if you'd have asked me just flat out, are we up or down on the week? I probably would have said down, right? On account of the sentiment I'm getting from my timeline and such. So, of course, the 30-day numbers don't look great, but, zoom out just a little bit. It's impossible to do. These types of headlines, though, I think that's the type of fodder you really need to, the just everything traditionally, all the people who are actually, participating in traditional markets and stuff, they're just moving at such different timelines than we are every single day here.
Is this are we seeing the Vanguard twop or the upfront? Twop is the wrong word. The rebalancing. So are we seeing the Vanguard rebalancing live in real time? I mean, these are some big candles now. We're at 90,730 live. I'm showing this live on the synthetics board, and we'll check in on that season 2 comp here in a bit. it's the reverse BART. So we opened Sunday night. We were at 91K. Totally sells off. We go all the way to, oh my God, we went to below 84. I think I missed that. Luckily for my sanity. But now we're approaching it again. So the weekend sell-off just totally erased. I'm going to get to my personal thoughts in a second. I think another relevant headline, Bank of America now recommending 1 to 4% crypto allo for their clients across Merrill, Private Bank, Merrill Edge. Their CIO is going to start coverage of Bitcoin ETFs as well, starting in 2026. One of the biggest banks in America, I think top 3. I don't have the rankings in front of me, at least top 5. Now they're going up to 1 to 4%. So the sky is falling on crypto Twitter. In TradFi, everyone's calm. They're moving at maybe a somewhat slow pace, maybe a somewhat accelerating pace, but they're ready to buy. And they're getting decent entries right now compared to where we have been. I don't know. Maybe this is narrative following price action once again, Logan, but I've just been thinking like the bull case here feels stronger to me than the bear case. So like I'm thinking about this. We just had this massive drawdown in Bitcoin. Everyone's ready to call the bear market over. But on what fundamentals? I feel like the primary fundamental bear case is just that this is typically where crypto sells off historically. There's been some DAT FUD. There's some Sailor, of course, is tied in to that.
Quantum FUD, sure, it feels a little far off. But like, what is the substance behind calling for Bitcoin to 50K other than just, again, historically, this is where everyone sells off. But on the bull side, you've got Vanguard opening up 401ks and brokerage accounts. You've got another major bank saying you need 1 to 4% of your portfolio in crypto. We've got the rate cut coming next week. Crypto-friendly Fed Governor in Hassett is the heavy favorite to replace Jerome Powell, and is expected to make more cuts into next year, all while gold is effectively at all-time high. Stocks are at all-time high. So this has been Bitcoin has been lagging. But I don't know. I was thinking this morning. I think at least 30% chance the bottom's in, the local bottom. That this was the bottom, or where we're at here. Tapping 80K. And it was our 35% drawdown in a longer continued cycle up, just because everything I've believed this entire year, nothing has changed from it. So like, and new facets of the bull argument have been added along that time frame. But again, maybe I'm just more bulled up because we're up 5% today. I'm curious for your reactions. Yeah, I'm sure some of it is a little bit of feeling bulled up. I can't fault you there, though. I don't have too much to add. I mean, what is it? Is it actually 30%? What's the actual number? I mean, it's something similar to that, right? From the
I think it was 35. Top. So it went 126.8 all the way to 81. Yeah. So that's 45K.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's painful to say it that way, but I mean, we've a little bit of, what you just walked through feels like to me, kind of narratively backed into the corner of a boxing ring and like taking every single punch. Right. Like we as far as headlines go and FUD goes and bear market sentiment goes, I mean, it does feel like how many big haymakers could the negative stuff possibly throw at us in the near term? And that's where, I do think maintaining some level here around 90, 92, whatever. I don't know what the actual key support indicators. I'm not doing any of the TA stuff, but just from a sentiment standpoint, I mean, holding here and thinking that if 80K is the bottom, I feel pretty good about that personally. But I'm not ready. I'm not ready to just like one way or the other call any shots. Still feels like, like Tom Lee's been talking about this, say what you will about that, but like the 10/10 stuff, the October 10th reset stuff, like there's potentially a lot more to shake out there. Does it actually get resolved in like a month and a half if all the carnage there is still kind of unwinding itself? I don't know. I mean, it's only been a month and a half, so
it's tough to jump to conclusions. Everyone needs to be cautious, sure, and I totally understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not making any massive moves right now. Like I continue to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. I started a dollar cost average into Hype when it got added to Robinhood, just because it was an easy way for me to buy it and not feel like, the money was coming from on-chain stuff that I didn't want to, that I wanted to have at my disposal. I wanted the optionality to be able to buy stuff on-chain. Now I can just use Robinhood to buy Hype and not think about that. Those are the types of things that I'm doing right now. I'm not really overreacting one way or the other. I will be keeping my eye on, if we do continue to trend down. Like I harvested some stuff the other day, so that's something like I'm keeping my eye on. And, it's been a long year. If you recall, like the Trump trade was January. The Solana all-time high was January. Those are 2025 cap gains if you took some. So I'm looking for opportunities to harvest. Maybe that's a little bit of the reason I'm almost apathetic. It seems like an arrogant position to have, but if things go down a little bit more, I'll be like looking to harvest more, just trying to be smart. But that's the kind of stuff I'm doing right now. I'm not doing anything big or splashy. I don't foresee the 150K move. And actually, Tom Lee did walk back. I was writing last week. He said that Bitcoin maybe could get to 150K now this year. Okay. Whereas previously, he was kind of gung-ho about 150K end of year. Saylor had said something similar. There's been lots and lots of price targets right by end of year. It seems really difficult to kind of fathom that at this point. That is a really swift move upwards, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you can get 100 to 1 on your money. If you think Bitcoin's going to get to 150K. So I am a bull, but I'm also somewhat realistic. 150K would be pretty shocking.
Man, 100K is not even a coin flip.
Yeah, I actually think there's some decent bets on this board. If you are bullish, I mean, we've got 29 days left in the month. You're over a 2x.
It's not even a 10% move.
Yeah. That's a little juicy. I don't even hate 110, 8 to 1. Even if you don't get there, if you get to 100, those odds are going to jump probably to at least a double. So there's some juicy action on here. Just while we're talking about Tom Lee, he did buy again last week. Another 265 million in ETH last week. And they somehow maintained their cash. So this is the exact same cash number they reported last week. So I don't know if they just sold exactly as many shares at the money effectively as they bought. But they still have nearly $1 billion in cash. And they added another $250 million in ETH. So you have to assume Tom is still buying this week. Probably roughly in the same amount. I think his average is around 3K. I think is his average closer to 4K. Yeah,
it's got to be higher than 3. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but
so any buys down here, so he kind of has to shove at these prices if he doesn't think that ETH is going to 1,000 or 2,000, because this is going to be substantially lowering his average. So expecting Tom to keep buying. Going through the rest of the board, ETH knocking on 3K here. Let's see. Some of the top movers. Actually, let's just take a look at Hype. There were some big ones from the recent runners. Mon up 40%. Just insanely volatile. So good luck. Good luck day trading. Good trading the Monad token. So this thing shot all the way up to effectively 5 billion, all the way back down to 2.2, 10% below ICO price, and now it's healthily above again.
You're still holding your ICO?
Yeah, I've talked about it on the show. I'm planning to hold for a year.
Okay.
And just kind of written it off as a longer term investment, building up the profile over on Coinbase token sales. to make sure I'll have access to future ones. And I know I'm sure some folks just say, oh, why don't you just move it off chain or on chain rather and just go one-sided LPs? I don't know. Feels dirty to me. Also, honestly, like I want to let Keon and team cook a little bit. I think there's a good chance Monad could be trading higher in a year.
Yeah.
Assuming markets don't just broadly collapse.
Yeah, I'm still holding my ICO bag as well. Not a big one, but for me, it's I don't want to commit to a year per se, but I of course want to get past this first 30, 60 day hurdle. Was it explicitly stated 30 days or something like that from Coinbase? I don't know.
They were not explicit about much.
Either way, right? Like I want to get past some decent chunk of time, whether that be a 3 month, for future benefit as well. And I'm in no rush to I guess the thing would be if this got way down, would I potentially harvest it? There's a point where you have, and I know we were talking about this actually when it got up to 0.45. There's a point at which the gain on your ICO is greater or could be perceived greater than the future rewards, right? That's the calculus you have to do.
Sure.
It's are the benefits that Coinbase is going to provide to me with future access, whatever, is it worth more than 100% gain? Who knows, right? That's the calculus you have to do. At some point, you'd have to do the same in reverse. Is the tax loss harvest, more than, whatever? That's the only other way I would potentially sell. I don't see it happening though.
Yeah. Another important exercise to go through for sure. But let's take a look at some of these other movers. We talked about Hype's up 10%. Farcoin's up 16%. Aster's up 10%. Pump is up 16%. Swee's up 16%. I think SBX is up somewhere around 14 or 15 as well. We saw Pingu, top of the show. Pingu's up 15% as well. Others, SBX is up 18%. Wow, it's at 700 million. I feel like not enough folks are really talking about that. And again, I understand where we're at in the meme cycle, and this is not me trying to pump memes, but objectively, I think there is some level of signal that anytime we get a bounce across the board, it is some of these meme leaders that are seeing the biggest gains. And I don't even hold SBX. It's been the strongest performance in the downturn. So it hit 1.6 at peak, drew down all the way to 42 cents. So about a 75% drawdown, back to 70 cents, 700 million.
It's more than a meme, man.
It's gonna flip the stock market.
That's what Murad would say. I did
oh wow, it hit 230. Okay, I didn't realize it was that high. Okay, so I was looking at just a local peak. So zoomed out, it doesn't look quite as good. Once again, objectively.
I did the math, the one in an article I had written a long time ago about what exactly the multiple is in order for it to flip the S&P 500 market cap. It's some absurd. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but it's some uncalculable number basically.
Why not?
But keep going. Why not? I actually I can appreciate the whole SPX thing. There are definitely worse tokens that could be going up.
Indeed. It's still 2x Farcoin with less mindshare. I think that's a fair thing to say. Certainly. Well, we're halfway through the show. I want to check in on Synthetics. So Synthetics launched their trading competition season 2 yesterday, and we're going to be partnering with them to help showcase the trading comp, the leaderboard, what trades we're thinking about. It's a 2-week competition. It's half a day in. The prize pool is a little different than the last one. So there's twice as many competitors. So I want to say there's 200 or so. Yeah. So it's 200 folks in the trading comp. Last time there was only 100. Season 1 up top was $1 million, but it was very top heavy. And I think second place was down to 40 or 50K. This one's a little bit flatter. So 200K to first, second and third get 100K each, fourth and fifth get 50K. And then 6th through 50th split 680,000 SNX tokens. Wow. Hollow Mind and KBM. KBM's a number 2. Infamous Bear must be long on us here. I jest because KBM, he trades the charts Everyone starts with 50K. He's already up to 138. So up 88K. All right, quite the start for KBM, but he's behind Hollow Mind, who with just 2 trades is up 108,000 in 12 hours. So there's been some big action on the board. I haven't made a trade yet, so I am in this. I snuck my way into this trading comp for season 2, and I kind of just didn't want to blow it first 12 hours. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to let price action play out a little bit, and then I'll figure out once I have a better read. So it's sad, egg all over my face. I missed this entire up move.
This was a big move because you're a bull. So I mean, this would have been the perfect time for you to go long, sit up there near the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, so this is a painful one. I think the comp opened around 8 p.m. Eastern last night. So Bitcoin was around 87. You can go up to 100x leverage. Long would have been the trade I think I would have put on, but even I didn't expect that this kind of a bounce into the Tuesday open. And of course, I mean, who did? We were all a little shell shocked. Like literally yesterday, the sky was falling. So all to say, I'm out of position right now. And I'm going to have to wait, I guess, kind of wait and see what happens from here. I feel dumb chasing along at 90K after a 5% move. At the same time, I don't want to go short. I absolutely hate myself if I lost in this turning comp, shorting majors, as I'm spewing a bullish outlook and saying that I think the bottom could very well be in. So
you got to stick to your guns, Tyler. The nice thing about this is you can sort of sit on your hands and let people overtrade, right? Blow themselves up, either with too much leverage or just the wrong side, and you can kind of pick your spots. So that is really, really nice. I think, no reason to be hasty right now. Pick your spots. Find your way.
Yeah, that's good advice. So that's how it played out last time. Basically, I mean, Farouk kind of sat on his hands and then really made a big push the last week or so. I think that was a month-long competition. So this one is shorter. On the flip side, with 14 days, if you get too far behind the leader, you're not going to really have much of a shot. So there's a lot of calculus in this one, and it's going to be a little different than season 1. But it's a fun one, and I'm grateful to SNX to be included. Farouk and Mando are in this as well. So again, we'll be continuing to cover this. The make or break trade might actually be Zeke. Whenever Zeke figures out what the hell it wants to do. I'm not sure, Logan, how much. I don't think you were in the Zeke trade. I mean,
not really.
Who missed it? If you believed the case and you were just waiting for an entry, I mean, this could be the entry, or it's just over and it was all just a pumping up. I do not believe that. We held word on the show, and everything that we've talked about, the privacy bull case, I do believe in, but that belief doesn't necessarily drive price action. I want to see where are we at on like RSI and whatnot, because it has to be somewhat oversold, I would imagine. Let's add some indicators. All right, so the daily RSI is at 37. That's the lowest it's been in months. 4-hour went way low, went all the way into the teens. All right, so this did bounce. So we were lower. I wasn't really tracking this because I exited my Zeke position which was a perps position at 440. But I'm also looking at getting back in, probably more so from a spot perspective, maybe for synthetics via a perp trade. So interesting. On the 4-hour, this was way, way, way oversold up until about 6 a.m. And now we see the spike. So we missed the first 10% move off the bottom. But if you think that was heavily oversold, maybe it is a decent time to get back into the trade. So that's going to be a token I'll be looking at closely. I don't know. A part of me just like keeps coming back to pump, and I don't know why. Like it's an unhealthy relationship. at this point in time because I keep coming back to it and I keep getting burned. And I've probably lost more money trading pump than almost anything else in 2025. And it's all because of these damn buybacks. And the buybacks continue. And people are still trading memes. It looks somewhat bottomed. I don't know.
Well, either way, pump is the right type of token, at least in my opinion, for one of these trading competitions, especially perps related trading competition, because the candles are so big up and down, right? The moves are just the range is wider, in my opinion. I'm not sure the chart actually backs that up, but you need, if you're going long or short, you need the big moves to really make a dent and move yourself up a leaderboard. So I think pump is a really interesting token to keep your eye on. If you're participating in this, I have no inkling where it's headed. It feels like there's definitely ammo that pump could utilize in terms of announcements to really send things up or down, at this point in time, should the announcement not be sufficient for the market's liking. So
where are we at pump fund airdrop? Wow. 8% airdrop in 2025. Yeah. I thought that was an absolute lock for good chunks. And so did the market. I mean, this thing was never really traded below 50%. It was still 55% end of October. And then, of course, now the time decay is just really hitting in at this point because they're not are they going to do it? I mean, I guess they could do it on Christmas Day. There is precedent for that in crypto. But we're out of time. It's 4 weeks left. And if you think they wouldn't do it around the holidays, there's like 3 weeks left. So the clock is only 40% by March 31st is just wild. So like we're just not. So then you're just saying there's not going to be an airdrop basically, or maybe it'll be at the 1 year mark. I guess if you're no on March 31st, 2026, like what is your thesis?
What's the incentive for them to wait a whole year to do an airdrop? I don't know. Yeah. I have no clue why. I mean, there's got to be some rationale behind, of course, right? Like they've thought about this. We hope anyway, right? I don't know what at this point in time you're weighing. Like, what are the variables you're weighing? Of course, you could be weighing market forces, like things don't feel great right now. You could be weighing, I don't know. I have literally no clue what the variables are about when you do this.
I guess your buybacks don't go as far from a percent basis. But then on the flip side, if you think the airdrop sell pressure is going to drive the price down and you are bullish on accumulating your token over time, you would want more tokens out on the market to have more price discovery. So I don't really know. I can't come up with a great thesis other than ongoing incentives for folks to continue trading on pump.
Yeah.
I kind of think they're going to do it anyway. Like I'm sure there's some industrial farmers out there for pump. I don't know anyone personally who's farming pump fund. I think people are just showing up and naturally trading memes. People who are still in that trade are showing up and still doing that.
Yeah.
I think there's some casual folks who will see like, okay, I'll jump in on this. But I don't know anyone who's like showing up to the desk every day. Like I gotta grind pump in the trenches today for 8 hours.
No way.
Yeah. So we'll see. I've got to figure out a trading strategy. That much is for sure. I want to go through some of the stories on the day because there actually were a decent amount of headlines. So Logan, this is one Sander published for us over at Decrypt. Big headline. I think we need to unpack like what is the actual substance behind this. So Coinbase, Mark Andreessen sued for $4.2 billion over alleged insider trading scheme. I'm curious if you had a chance to dig into this one. Is it real? Is it nothing burger? What's your take?
Yeah, so of course not a legal expert, so can't say too much about the legitimacy of it. But I will say there was a similar suit. Sander walks through all this in the story. There's a similar suit that apparently a judge said, if you scroll down just a little bit further, I don't want to mess with the wording too much, but more or less claim that legitimate right there, reasonably conceivable. That was from the Delaware judge from a suit similar, right, which basically said that Coinbase insiders were aware of some things that would potentially send the price of the shares down, right? And they withheld that information, sold their own stock, made lots of money on that. And that's kind of the claim being made here. So that note there, though, about the previous case in which it was reasonably conceivable, that's what, to me, Tyler, says that, like, okay, this is not just like the smoke and mirrors class action lawsuit that like any random spurned investor is throwing out there. The thing about that, though, is it just very slow moving, so what types of impacts could this potentially have? Where does this potentially go? I mean, we're probably looking at maybe we follow up on this story next year type thing. But it does seem like there is definitely, it's not nothing, I would say.
This is a tricky one for me for a couple reasons. One, I'm in the camp that CEOs are allowed to sell shares of their company. Like Brian Armstrong worked for a decade, I don't know the exact years, to build this company, and it is his right to sell shares. And I think most CEOs do that along a predetermined schedule. Again, I haven't looked into this specific case. Then as for the substance of this, that they knew things like KYC, AML violations. Every major bank in the U.S. has these. They have these consent orders. I was in this line of work. There are armies of consultants whose entire job is to help fix consent orders from the SEC, from the NYDFS, against TradFi, and now against a growing list of crypto native companies. So did they know that they were going to have these violations? And is that a reason that they shouldn't be allowed to sell their shares? Like that's tricky to me. And I would say no, that my read on this interpretation is no, that's a little not substantive enough, a little bit too fluffy. But your comment on the Delaware suit precedent does feel meaningful. The judge basically said, yeah, maybe that is reasonable. So it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the judges think in this case. And this isn't one I think that necessarily has a market impact, right? This is more just impactful for Brian Armstrong, Mark Andreessen, more so than I'd say coin stock. But again, something to watch out for. Another piece of FUD, because we can't go a day without some new FUD angle. And this one is the AI. So we had quantum threat. Now we've got AI agent threat. So Anthropic published a report that they let some AIs run wild in blockchain test environment, simulated testing. They found $4.6 million in exploits. If you dig into this, so that they also discovered some new 0-day vulnerabilities that had been previously uncovered. That's a very scary headline. And when you read the second half of the sentence, worth $3,694 and $3,476. So this one, I don't want to lead you on. This feels like a scarier headline than the reality, but I'm curious for your thoughts on this.
Yeah, that's exactly the conclusion I came to. Is actually when you look at that number, even the bigger number, 4.6 million or whatever, I was thinking to myself, that's it. Like that seems kind of like a win that it only found 4.6 million in smart contract exploits. The numbers, of course, have been far, far larger. It's unfortunate every time it happens when there is an exploit that, it pulls, and extracts millions and millions of dollars from the space. But it is one of those inherent risks that, anyone participating here should be aware of. And on the flip side of this, having agents able to find these things should hopefully help teams and developers, more quickly, white hat stuff, I would hope, for future proofing. So I see a positive here. Of course, finding 4.6 million in existing exploits is not good, but I see more of a long-term positive here than what's potentially a shock from the headline.
So they tested against 405 contracts that were exploited between 2020 and 2025.
Right.
And then collectively, they were able to exploit them for more, for about 4.6 million. My reaction to this is, I mean, that's similar to you. Like, that's it. Like, and going further, like, so this is good. This is good for awareness, and I think protocols need to be kind of along your lines of thought, using white hat AI agents to try to exploit their protocols for testing, security testing, and all that. But the reality is, there are literally trillions at stake in this industry. And like, you don't think the bad actors are running AI agents out to try to exploit protocols on a daily basis? Like, they are, right? And they're using the most advanced tech because the incentive is that large. So I don't think that necessarily like we're on the cusp of Gemini, GPT updating their models, and now all of a sudden Aave is at risk of being hacked and every crypto DeFi protocol just gets hacked day over day. Maybe that's naive, but I don't think we're there, or else we would have already seen signs of it now. And this is different than the quantum threat. But yeah, again, more FUD to me, a bit overblown. Running through the rest of these, there was a big Operation Choke Point headline yesterday. So the House Republicans did come out with a 53-page report on Operation Choke Point 2.0 and effectively what the Biden administration did to debank digital assets. There's not a whole lot new here. We've talked about this. I think one takeaway is that basically this is the U.S. government saying like everything that we thought was happening from 2021, 2022, 2023 was in fact happening. That the SEC, that other governing bodies were debanking crypto protocols. I think the bigger takeaway for me as I read through this story is that what Congress is trying to do now is make it so this can't happen again. So to put policies in place that regardless of a change of power, and we have a very crypto friendly SEC now, let's say that changes in 2028, they're trying to put the framework in place that it just doesn't matter, which I think is a very strong positive, regardless of political affiliation, if you want to see crypto continue to thrive in the U.S. So that's that story. I don't know if there's a ton to react to there, Logan. Let's maybe move on to one more from yesterday. So we talked about the Myriad prediction market news, which was blockbuster this morning. There was also some news out of Kalshi yesterday. So you published this article. So Kalshi is pushing further on chain. They're launching their prediction markets on Solana. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, so essentially the event contracts that you're participating with, when you're making a prediction now are being tokenized on Solana. So Kalshi working with, big Solana infrastructure players like Jupiter, DFlow as well, which is a trading infrastructure firm, to basically create an API which allows the liquidity to be kind of aggregated into this one large pool. So both the way I read it, and I'm not a technical expert, is that the more or less the on-chain and off-chain liquidity are going to be kind of, aggregated into one spot. Of course, we know that as liquidity improves, the spreads drop, everything improves for these markets. I think John Wang from Kalshi had a thread about this, right? About how important the liquidity is to the markets, the individual markets themselves, and then of course the prediction market at large, like just how impactful that liquidity access is. And so that's the bulk of it. Another side note that I haven't seen talked about too much is, so Kalshi, as a result of having this API now that it's working through with DFlow, is working on a builders program that has $2 million in grants for folks who are looking to kind of innovatively distribute these markets via their front ends. They'll sort of get a builder code, and much like you would for any other referral program, if you're driving volume via your front end or your trading bot or whatever it is to Kalshi's markets, you're gonna be able to monetize that. no specific details I saw that, indicate it's like 10% or anything like that. So those details are outstanding, but just, further ways to incentivize people to think about creatively pushing these markets to others and leaning in, of course, to pushing that and integrating itself with the crypto economy, which is the biggest part of this whole entire piece, is that, crypto native users having more crypto native rails to participate with these prediction markets.
Yep. I mean, Trust Wallet users can bet directly in wallet on Myriad. Now, if you're a Jupiter user, if you're on Solana, you can easily bet on Kalshi markets via Jupiter. So it's easier than ever. I think this builders program just again highlights like this is the golden age. If you want to build in the prediction market sector, like now is your chance. And there's real money up for grabs.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Tyler. You're lagging on me a little bit. The FAQ though points out that, let's say you're looking at this, and I'm not a technical person, but if you even have an idea, right, like you could at least apply for this. So it's quite wide ranging. If you're someone who's sitting back and you've had an idea for a potential prediction market trading thing or dashboard or whatever, like definitely at least take a look and potentially apply.
Definitely. So big story there out of Kalshi, a couple others. So you put one on my radar. Let me see if I can find this. Somewhat of a hostile takeover. You walked me back a little bit. So you're using more conservative language, but it looks like CZ and YZ Labs are looking to have more control over this BNB DAT CEA Industries. So why don't you walk us through a little bit?
Yeah.
On this one.
So actually, YZI Labs posted about this last week, like on its individual Twitter account. But the actual SEC filing was from yesterday. It was dated from yesterday, more or less. So CZ, as well as YZI Labs, which is his investment firm formerly known as Binance Labs, filed a consent statement with the SEC, which is urging. So they're sending this to all the BNC shareholders. BNC being the ticker for CEA Industries. Which is a BNB, sorry for all the acronyms here, but is a BNB token DAT. They sent this plea to all these BNC shareholders, which more or less is very, very critical of the existing board at CEA Industries, very critical of CEO David Namdar and others for their actions in not promoting this enough, in having attention elsewhere. And it points to the fact that, BNB, the token, made a new all-time high in October, right? It's fallen like 40% since then. But BNB was super successful from the period of launch of this, right? Which was in July, super successful from July to October. Meanwhile, CEA Industries had that initial surge on the launch, but has drastically underperformed the token since that time. That's the takeaway here is you're talking about the urgency needed to get a new board in place, new board members in place, right? And act quickly and swiftly to try to rectify this thing, more or less. Of course, there's disclosures throughout the entire thing. YZI Labs is a 5% of owns 5% of the outstanding shares in the firm. So of course, very incentivized, to turn things around. And they want to act quickly. They are one of the proposals. There's 4 proposals within this consent form. One of them is that they are asking people, the shareholders of BNC, to vote yes or to approve consent for basically getting the YZI Labs nominated folks on the board. So that's where I think the word takeover is coming in, right? Mm-hmm. But not quite that. I do want to, of course, be a little conservative with the language here. But an interesting story nonetheless. I spoke with this whole DAT thing. We've been talking about it. It's been kind of imploding for the last couple of weeks. This is just another headline that kind of lines in that. But I spoke with the Soul Strategy CEO a couple of weeks ago. He gave me a great quote. He said something along the lines of, this whole thing is going to unwind. There's really no need for DATs, and that the staking ETFs in particular are going to eat their lunch, something like that. You'd have to look at the story to get it in total. But I just thought that was really interesting. You have even these folks who are at the very forefront of all of this, understanding and becoming aware that DATs may not be for long. Who knows? There's no
You
need.
don't love hearing the spokesman of a DAT say
Yeah.
they think the whole DAT.
Yeah. Well, so full disclosure, Soul Strategies considers itself more than a DAT. Yeah, a Solana company. They have a validator business, right? Which is taking the assets under management or the assets delegated to its validators, and then of course earning the Solana rewards as a result of that. So there is an actual business there. But many of these others, right, would say probably the same thing, that there's an actual business underlying everything as well. So, yeah.
I'm sure we will talk more about the DAT unwind on today's Underexposed, which is coming up in just a little over an hour. I'm sure Peter and Jeeves will have some thoughts on that. So tune in there if you want a deeper dive into the DAT unwind. Last story for today. So we had Infinex on yesterday, and we talked a lot about their ICO. We talked. We're in a few chats together. I shared this with some boys. I really think that if you are still showing up every day and you don't really want to trade memes, you don't really want to trade perps, but you want to be active in farming, I really think Crate Run is one of the more interesting opportunities out there. So just by trading perps on Infinex, by importing your wallet, by connecting your socials, you can earn these crates. And just to give an example, so I had $250 on there. I just started doing some perps trades, and I racked up 3 crates in a couple hours with a couple trades. So my point being is you can do this with a low capital way, with a low time intensive way if you want to get some exposure to this. And of course, you can scale up from there. I'm not affiliated with Infinex. This is not. I'm not partnered with them. This is just my genuine take, and I do like their product a lot. Like we said this in the interview yesterday. I do feel like this is kind of the future of what crypto apps looks like. Everything abstracted away. You show up to a website and you can do everything you want to do right there. So I do applaud what Infinex is trying to pull off, and I think a lot of folks are kind of looking for things to do right now, and there's not a whole lot. Right? Like open sea farming is going on, but that's going to be 7 seasons long. Of course, there's prediction markets, but if you're looking for more crypto native farming opportunities, I do think Infinex is a big one. They've got that $1 million prize that unlocks if they get to $10 billion in trading volume. They have these weekly raffles. So there's a lot of prizes up for grabs. There's a lot of luck that goes into it as well, but it's a good way to learn a product. So that's my Infinex spiel. I'm sure we'll talk about it more over the coming days and weeks as well. As for today, okay, I think that's it. Was there anything else on your list for today?
No. Let's hope prices keep going up.
Let's check in. Where are we at before we close here today? Bitcoin hanging out at 90,009. We're about to go to 91K live.
I'll take it.
On the show, we will take it. Indeed, ETH back over 3K. Want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in today. Want to thank Logan for stepping in as my co-host. He'll be back tomorrow. Want to thank our partners as always. FOMO Hour will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. Till then, make it a beautiful day. Goodbye.